Good afternoon. In a seismic shift in global trade, President Trump has slapped a crushing 50% tariff on Indian goods, retaliation for New Delhi's Russian oil imports. But as Washington brands this as an economic war to isolate Moscow, India fires back. Why target us while Europe still buys Russian energy? With Modi eyeing a pivotal China visit and Putin slated for New Delhi, the G20's fault lines are fracturing into a new world order where tariffs are weapons, oil is leverage, and alliances are no longer guaranteed. I'm Mona Mosalhi. Welcome to Think Tank.
Our world is becoming unhinged.
The Washington Post has reported in a bold geopolitical gambit, President Trump has slammed India with 50% tariffs over its Russian oil imports, testing a strategic partnership once seen as unshakable. New Delhi, which views its energy purchases as economic necessity, hits back at Western double standards, citing Europe's continued reliance on Russian gas. As Modi faces pressure at home and abroad, India's deepening ties with Moscow, including an upcoming Putin visit, signal defiance. Yet Washington's pivot from tolerance under Biden to Trump's punitive trade war reveals a fracturing alliance. With BRICS solidarity rising and U.S. trust wavering, India walks a tightrope, balancing energy security, strategic autonomy, and a world order no longer bound by Western rules. According to the Economic Times, the recent U.S. imposition of extra 25% tariff on Indian goods signed by President Donald Trump directly targets India's reliance on discounted Russian crude oil. This move is a significant escalation of political and economic pressure, forcing India into a difficult position. The core issue is that India's profitable arrangement of importing cheap Russian oil is now jeopardized by the threat of losing its largest export market, the United States. This new tariff creates a clear choice for India. Continuing to purchase Russian oil risks at $87 billion export market with the U.S., a far greater financial hit than the few billion dollars saved on discounted crude. Conversely, abandoning Russian supplies would strain India's partnership with Moscow and increase its oil import bill by an estimated $9 to $11 billion annually. This makes India's strategic balancing act between Moscow and Washington increasingly difficult. In response, India is exploring alternatives to diversify its oil sources. From Mumbai's docks to Washington's corridors of power, one barrel of Russian oil ignites a tariff war, testing an alliance once hailed as the cornerstone of Indo-Pacific stability.
One barrel, one decision, one global firestorm. This is not just about oil. It's about power, survival, and shifting alliances in a world remaking itself in real time. In Tamil Nadu, cheap Russian oil powers production lines that supply the world. For India, it's not a choice, it's necessity. A growing economy demands affordable energy. Trump said, "We will not tolerate nations profiting from aggression. India must choose Russia or the United States."
As you know, we put a 50% tariff on India on oil. They're the second largest. They're very close to China in terms of the purchase of oil from Russia.
President Trump's executive order slaps India with punishing tariffs. the highest on any major democratic ally. His justification? India is importing Russian oil, directly or indirectly, threatening US national security. But here is the contradiction. Europe still buys Russian gas through third parties, yet India, the fastest growing importer, not the largest, bears the brunt. European Energy Commissioner announced, "We have reduced dependency, but energy security remains complex." While on the other hand, the Indian declaration, Russian oil isn't an option. It's a national necessity. We won't be lectures by those who still profit from Moscow. Now Modi's planned visit to China ignites speculation. Is India pivoting? Is the US using tariffs not just as trade policy, but as leverage?
Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest.
While Apple invests $100 billion at home, India pays the price. Is this economic discipline or geopolitical signaling? India now weighs its options. Accelerate BRICS integration, negotiate with Brussels, or face isolation. In this new era, oil flows where power shifts, and alliances, they are no longer written in treaties, but in tariffs. From Mumbai to Washington, the barrel that fueled a nation may now fuel a rift. Our economic wars are the new battleground of the 21st century.
Providing more analysis about the most recent updates concerning Trump's tariffs, India and its applications, we're joined from New Delhi by Mr. Nareej Singh Manhas, South Asia Policy Initiative Advisor, and from London by Dr. Mohsin Salmoni, Political Economist, Professor at London University. Welcome both of you gentlemen to Think Tank. And let me start here by Mr. Niraj. And can India truly maintain strategic autonomy when its energy security is now threatened by US tariff policy?
Oh, thank you, Mona, for your kind invite. Before I answer this question, I want to say that I'm very much shocked at Trump's foreign policy because it's a massive blunder that's undoing decades of very goodwill between India and the United States. Because all the previous presidents, from the George Bush to Obama to Biden, they have worked very hard to build this strong partnership with India because they see India as a very key ally in the Indo-Pacific because just to counter China, and recently we have also seen that it has emerged as a global leader in the global south. So George Bush also pushed the nuclear deal, and Mr. Obama also called India as an indispensable partner, and Biden also tried his level best to deepen the Quad cooperation. But he's ignoring everyone, just slapping 25% and then recently, day before yesterday, more 25% on us just because we are buying Russian oil. So we are just buying Russian oil just for our energy security, not for the waging war. So he's not listening to allies, advisors, or he's not even using his common sense. So just imagine this kind of a move is going to, how it is going to blunder in the coming time. So
and this is why, Mr. Niraj, I'm asking you if India could really maintain its strategic autonomy when its energy security is at risk.
Yeah, so rightly said, because the question of India's strategic autonomy is very, very complex, but very critical. So let me just start by saying that India's pursuit of strategic autonomy is the ability to take decisions, on the basis of its national interest rather than the external pressures, what USA is trying to put on New Delhi. So the recent US tariff, which was announced on 30th of July, and they are currently effective from the 1st of August, are basically the challenges that needs to be, the scene, and, India's strategic autonomy. So it's, overall, I see this is basically a pressure tactic. There is no doubt about it. And US is currently very much frustrated with the India's continuous purchase of discounted Russian oil, and of course the old friendship from the Russia also. And they themselves are dependent on uranium fertilizers from Russia. Why they are not talking about that? So India's response is very much firm. India's Ministry of External Affairs has also called these pressures unjustified and unreasonable. So you can well imagine a country whose population is 1.4 billion. So, we are not ready to negotiate on these terms. So India can still maintain its strategic autonomy, but, it will have to redefine whether we are going to depend on the countries to redefine our foreign policy, or whether we want to do it from our own self. Because in the coming global time, we are seeing how the world is changing.
Now, Dr. Salmouni, with Apple's $100 billion pledge announced the same day, is the US sacrificing India to boost domestic industry under the guise of foreign policy? Or are we seeing a kind of hidden mission for India at this upcoming stage under the show of this rift?
Let me show some figures here and show that Mr. Trump is committing today, I think, is a big blunder and committing a suicide on the trade war which he tried to create. He tried to give an impression to the whole world that he is the imperator, but he will never succeed. In my opinion, economically, you cannot use economic to try to help your political interest. Political interest need always to serve the economy and not the other way around. Number one, India, the trading between the India and the United States, it's about 212 billion. Out of that, 128.9 billion goods is coming out from United States into India. And the 41 billion, it is in terms of service. Indian supply United States with the rest of that. Therefore, comparison really, the trade balance between India and the United States is in the favor of United States and not in the favor of India. Trump is using India as a target because, number one, India is an active member of the BRICS. And that's a very important thing to Trump, because now here the BRICS joining with China and joining with Russia and Brazil and Egypt and Iran and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia is going to cause a horrendous problem and instability for dollar. Dollar today, if America lost the power of dollar, lost a big control of all the world economy. That is the problem of Trump. Also, Indians have started to change the defense policy by going into Russia and China and using them for doing that. India today is, we can say that India about to lose maybe 64 billion a year if this tariff is being implemented. But India, what has done? Indians have created new deals, trading deals with Europe, Africa, Egypt, and from Africa, and United Kingdoms and the Gulf area. And they have always, a good relationship with this market. And also they created a big market now with the Southeast Asia. That is all India today. Now here's the question we ask. Would India sustain this high tariff? In my opinion, I think yes, it may cause some problems in India from the beginning. Now we come about Apple. Apple produce the phone in China, it costs them about $14. $14, and they sell the Apple phone in America for over $1,000. Now, in India, they produce Apple phone for about $18. They sell that Apple phone in America for about over $1,000. Here, now, I mean, Apple today, they are opening a factory and they're spending money. That factory will not be in operation until maybe next 2 years. And also the trainee employers today, which is they needed, okay, to carry on that high tech, phones. And the production of that Apple phone will cost them in America, I believe it will be over really very close to $100. Therefore, how much are you going to sell that Apple phone now in America? There, it must be, it will be about, a hell of a money. Therefore, Trump has causing a serious problem here. And today, he's not going to be the inflation. The stock market is in problem. The S&P and the Dow Jones, who are the main measurement of the stock market in America. And
so you're saying here that he is not boosting domestic industry in such a case.
No, he's not at all. He's using, Madam Mona, he's using really those tariffs to show as a weapon to try to really bully countries coming like that. But with a country like India, China, Russia are very, very powerful. And also he's tying that after really he has reached an agreement with the United Kingdom and agreement with the Europe also. He reached an agreement with that. He will not succeed on this policy. That policy will not benefit out of that. Right. Number one, India supply raw material to America, which is needed in pharmaceutical, textile, IT. India provided a big service to an IT worth of
We'll get to that. We'll get to that, Dr. Mohsen. We'll get to that. But that, what you're speaking about is raising big question mark about the autonomy and the sovereignty of nations in choosing their own decisions, even the trade ones. Let me here go to Mr. Niraj. And Mr. Niraj, how significant is the timing of Ajit Doval's Moscow visit and Putin's planned trip to India just hours after Trump's 50% tariff announcements?
Okay, so Mona, the timing is very important, and it looks very proactive here, because Mr. Ajit Doval's Moscow visit was planned, earlier, to discuss about the defense, like S-400 defense system, the energy cooperation, as well as to prepare the Putin's possible visit by the late 2025. Although the dates are not released yet, they are working on it. But as soon as this Trump's tariff announcement was made on 5th of August, so this visit becomes more gives a stronger signal. So India is showing, it won't ditch its long-standing partner. That is, we are having a very good ties with Russia, and it's an old friend to us. So, just buying the cheap oil or for the defense, or, despite we are having a US pressure, but, this Putin's visit right now, which has been planned, though it's not confirmed for August as some of them news channels have claimed, but it reinforces the partnership. So the overall point is that India's assertion, it's right to choose its allies, just not tilted towards one side, because it has tried its level best to balance between Russia and US. But while we have seen that these tariffs announcement also in the morning, PM Modi also made that no matter whatever the pressure would come, India would not bow down against in context of the agriculture sector where US is trying to enter. Secondly, US President Donald Trump is also seeing this as an opportunity to have a bargain between so that India can also try to have a bargain between both the presidents, because President Putin is not listening to Trump. So there could be some of the possibilities where India can also try and put and bargain between, so that there is a ceasefire between both the countries. Because when Trump came into power, his first promise to his people was that he would stop the war. And that is not, people are not able to see that. So eventually this becomes very, significant at the moment, but still new developments would, come, and will also explore how new possibilities would come in that Trump's whether stick on the point of tariffs or whether he reduces the tariff.
So you think here that the United States is using its leverage over India in putting those tariffs as a kind of punitive actions towards Indian taking oil from Russia, right?
Okay, so it is just not about being oil, Mona, because I just mentioned the main issue right now is about having entering the US into the Indian agriculture market, because that is where they want to signal that how they can also try and gauge the Indian public also, right? The second point, US itself is using the Russian oils. They are highly dependent on their uranium. They're highly dependent on their fertilizers. So they cannot blame India just for that.
Right.
And even China is the biggest, supplier, whom Russia is importing a lot of oil. So why they are not, charging them with a lot of tariffs? So there is a strategy. And in the whole South Asia, you see now India has become the biggest country whom the highest number of tariffs has been put. Look at the other countries surrounding India, just 19%, 10%, 30%. So, he's
maybe
trying to gain.
Maybe as Dr. Salmouni just said, it's also about India being part of the BRICS. We'll get back to you, Dr. Niraj. Let me here go to Dr. Salmouni. And how effective can U.S. sanctions be when they ignore the economic realities driving nations like India to buy discounted Russian oil?
Number one, energy is the most important thing to industrial countries. India are a very industrial country, and it has lots of manufacture, and also most of the export to outside India, and specifically to United States. They are small to medium. Large people produce that. Today, when you're having an oil at a really discounted rate, and a very good discounted rate, it does help the industrial country to be competitive and they can produce a quality goods. And that's what Indian is doing right now. Indian has managed to make a serious profit within the last 2 years, depending on the crude oil, which is coming from Russia, and benefit from that. So China also have benefit really greatly. Mr. Trump, the president of Trump, is concerned about 3 points. Number one, concerned about the high technology which is China have reached to, and also the high technology of India, which have reached to. Number two is the BRICS, which is a very, very important. And number three, China and India, they are the biggest consuming market in the world there. Therefore, how are you going to distribute your goods in that market, all right, if you cannot use any one of them? This tariff and is a smoke screen which Trump is using there, and he's depending on a very important element which is need to mention there. Trump visited to the Gulf area, has managed to secure, to take out of the Gulf area, 5.1 trillion. And by using that amount of money which is coming to him, it gives him the bit of the encouragement that now you have a new investment coming into the market with a 5.1 trillion, money unheard of. All right. Therefore, he can now expand his tariff into countries like India. He tried to control over the economic market, but he's going to fail badly because already in America there is a slow growth. There is the S&P and the Dow Jones are falling down because they dislike the uncertain in the financial market. And also, the inflation and the prices are higher in United States. All right. And this political war through the trade war, it's not going to stop. And he will fail to supply. He will fail to try to secure a new material to produce whatever he wants to do in America, because those material. I mean, he's taking out of Russia today some of the most important. There is metals in America, wiring metals there, which is required.
The raw materials. We're speaking
Yes.
about the raw materials.
Yeah, the semiconductor for the car. I mean, he's taking that out of Russia. He's taking some other metal from Russia there. America trading in the Russian oil itself there. Therefore, Trump, I think he is being advised wrongly, and he is not an economic man. And absolutely, in my opinion, I've seen him falling badly.
Let me go to Mr. Niraj. And Mr. Niraj, Modi's upcoming China visit a calculated pivot or a survival maneuver in a world where old alliances are fracturing?
So, Mona, it's a calculated pivot, not a desperate survival move, I would say, because, Modi's visit of China was not at all sure, and all the media houses, even the government was also not sure whether PM Modi will go to the China or not. But right now, the kind of a geopolitical moves which are coming from Trump's foreign policy, so it has also made sure that, India would also try to see its option more open. Why not to Shanghai Cooperation Group? Why not to BRICS? Let's suppose if Russia, China and India, they form a RIC group, then how US is going to tackle this powerful group? So, I always see this kind of a tactical move which Trump has played. It is eventually going to fail out. No matter, it is also going to fail the good friendship with India, where US has, over a period of 20 years, established this friendship. So eventually they will lose this also, because friendship depends on the trust and how they are moving up in the form of implementing tariffs and, not listening to the terms. So that is how geopolitics doesn't work. So every country has their national interest. Every country will have to see their people first. So with this, the US hitting 50% on Indian goods, it's not going to survive on a long term. So, I see that India not abandoning precisely, India is not going towards the sides here. So India not abandoning the US or its Quad partner, because US has also to see India as a Quad partner, and other Quad partners are also not happy. What US has done to Japan, what Australia is also one of part of it. Both of the countries, they are also the partners. They are also not happy. So instead, deepening its ties with China, and how the India is managing its economic fallout if the tariffs still continue for a long time, India has to take some stand, especially with China, especially with Russia or China. So definitely, I don't think that it is going to be a bad. Certainly, this visit of PM Modi is going to have a new development if the Donald Trump doesn't work on the idea of reducing the tariffs.
Right, that was Mr. Niraj Singh Manhas, South Asia Policy Initiative Advisor, and Dr. Mohsen Salmoni, Political Economist, Professor at London University. Thank you both, gentlemen, for your very special insights and your valuable discussions here. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank, which always unveils the complexities of our changing world. And many thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the Egyptian Bulletin coming up with our colleague Rana Al-Assas. So many thanks for watching.